What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Tell Mom podcast, the brother and sister duo podcast where anything and everything goes.
Anything and everything. What's up, y'all?
What episode is this?
64, I think.
64.
You're usually the one that keeps up with that.
In a row. I know, we've been so busy this week. Back to back to back with podcasts and guests and things.
Gotta get it in, Cullen.
Running all together.
Vacation time is over. The summer is over. It's officially time to get back to work. So
it's like we're climbing a mountain or something.
Oh, that's good, Cullen.
I dug through my closet to find the only shirt with mountains I had on it for our guest today.
Yes.
Which is a perfect segue. We have Kent Stewart in the house. Woo! What's up, man? How are you?
Good.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, about a fist away. There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry. This guy has an incredible story.
Amazing.
And we're gonna dive deep into it or climb high up to it, however you want to look at it.
Let me tell you how this happened.
Yeah, you were the one that
let me go ahead
jumped
and
on this.
Let me just tell you how I found Kent. So I a couple weeks ago there was a documentary on TV and it was called, what was it, In the Air?
Was it the Netflix?
Yeah, it was like
Everest.
It was another one. It was called Thin Air.
Thin Air.
Thin Air or something like that.
Thin Air.
Well, Corey and I, and usually I like to watch the Real Housewives and like the girly shows, the reality TV, But I was on, but my husband, he loves the wilderness stuff and all those, Alaskan and the Naked and Afraid and all that stuff. So he started watching this show. And I was just like, I'll go in the other room and watch my thing or whatever. He's like, no, wait, come back and watch this. This is actually really good. And it was about this guy, and he was trying to climb this peak. And it was like the hardest one. I forget what it was called, like the devil something. I mean, it was something intimidating, but it was this mountain. It was like straight up. And I don't know if you've seen what I'm talking about, this show, but it was him and another guy. I guess you have to have two people go up. And he was trying to climb it. He couldn't get it. He finally got it. And it's like, it brought me to tears. Like, I'm so enthralled in this show. And it's the guy climbing this mountain. And it was just so interesting to me because I never really thought about that, mountaineering. And that's just not something I've ever thought about. Just like,
what's your term? Is it a mountaineer?
Yeah, mountaineering.
Mountaineering.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's a whole sport, just like hockey. My husband's a hockey player. Until I met him, I never even thought about hockey. You know what I mean? It's just not something that came in my path. And so it was crazy that I saw that. So then fast forward a few months later, a month or two later, and I'm researching around Alabama, seeing if I can find any guests that'll come on that, with really outstanding stories. And I'm just kind of Googling around, and I see a story about you, and I think there was a picture of like you and two or three other guys on top of a mountain, and you got all your snow stuff on, and it was a story about climbing Mount Everest and the 7 peaks, the seven summits.
Yeah.
So 7 summits are the tallest mountain on every continent. Mount Everest being that 7th one, right?
Right.
And so I started reading, and I was just so blown away by your story. And I started thinking about, like, God, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. Like, how do you even get the mental preparation to tackle on something like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Like, I have to prep myself just to take the stroller up the hill in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And I lived in Colorado for a long time, and down here, it's crazy. Like, hiking down here, you just walk around in the woods. And then I had some friends from Colorado that were like, you want to go on a hike? I'm like, sure, that'd be fun. And I went to go hike, and we went straight up a mountain. And I was like, this is not hiking. This is like totally different. And so I was just thinking like how hard that was. And I started looking at your pictures, and you're a mountain climber, so you have all these pictures of you at the top, and I mean, you don't have a hair out of place. You just look like you just took a stroll to the top of this mountain. Whereas me, the one time I've climbed a mountain, I got to the top, and my whole face is red. I can't breathe. I'm like gasping for air.
Well, let's back up. I want to know, like, what do you do? Like, how do you?
I'm so excited about this.
I know.
Sorry,
you just jumped right into everything. I'm like, wait a minute. Let's tell the audience here. What do you do? Who you are?
Yes, you tell us first.
Where you came from?
Probe you. Yeah.
And how'd you get started into this sport? I never even thought. I was like, what's the term? Mountaineer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen any of those pictures where my hair's in place. I'm not so sure. You may have me mix up with someone else. Because most of the time, those pictures that are taken on the summit, I have very little recollection of that.
Wow.
Do you?
Yeah. So I have to look at the pictures, too, to kind of remember, because some of those, when you're in the moment, you're just trying to get up there and down and not kill yourself. So there's not a whole lot of time to enjoy it or think about it. But so who am I? I mean, I've been in the title insurance and real estate closing business. I went to Alabama and went to law school in Alabama. Thank you, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
And then got out of law school and started real estate law, and that turned into a title company, Rely Title, which we're headquartered here in Birmingham. We've got 19 offices throughout Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida.
I love it.
Oh, nice.
So all we do is real estate closings and title insurance. That's my day job.
We're looking at buying a lake house. I know who I'm going to call then.
Well,
our house is on the market right now. I need to get in touch with you after this.
So I just got two new closings.
There you go. Right. It was worth the trip coming to the podcast today. Yeah.
I would have come anyway, but I'll take the two closings. So anyway, I didn't grow up adventure type person. I wasn't a Boy Scout. I didn't grow up hiking, climbing, anything like that. I was actually a golfer. Played tennis a lot when I was young, and then I got into golf and really didn't start hiking until I turned 50.
Wow.
And
whoa, how old are you now?
I'm 63.
What?
Yeah, you don't look.
I would have never guessed that.
I thought you were more like Cullen's age.
Right? No, I would. I mean,
that's because you're in such good shape.
For what you've done and accomplished. Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
You didn't start till you were 50 years
50?
old, and was it your wife that got you into it?
Yeah, I blame her.
Okay.
So we had been to Africa. We had never really traveled much, but we took the kids to Africa on spring break right before I turned 50, and kind of fell in love with that whole idea of traveling and going to Africa. And so the next year, my wife Julie had overheard some people talking about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and it just kind of got in her head, and she said, "This is something we ought to do." And I just said, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm not doing that." But she taught me into it, and so the next year we went over and tried it, and it was.
Has she had any experience?
She had no experience either.
Wow.
But she was in really good shape. She was she had run a marathon or two, and I had done zero training.
Okay. Just dove in, huh?
Dove in.
Okay.
And it was very difficult for me. She did pretty well, but we managed to get to the top and back down, and both said, "We're never doing this again."
What were we thinking?
Yeah, what were we thinking? Glad we did it. It was a great feeling to kind of pull it off, but no desire to do it again.
Right.
And then what happens is, and this is kind of something I've learned over the years in mountaineering, you go through the pain and the misery of the climb. You say you'll never do it again. Then you get home and some time goes by and you kind of forget the bad part.
Right,
and you only remember the good part.
Yeah, that's how it always goes.
It always goes.
Yeah.
And then you start planning your next one.
Oh, yeah.
And so we kind of got on this thing where we started taking the 7 summits. The Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa.
Okay, so you got one.
So it's one. We didn't realize it at the time, but it's one. So we said, okay, well, how many do you think we can do? Never thinking in a million years we would ever get to the big ones, the end ones. So we just decided to take them one at a time, and from that point on, we took them one at a time, and we summited the first 5 together.
Wow.
And when you're talking about it, I'm just thinking let's just go. You look up at a Red Mountain or something in local Birmingham,
the
hill, yeah. You're like, let's climb it to the top of the hill. But I mean, this isn't just up and down. This is like a process. Like,
it's an
how long did you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was listening to some of your stuff and doing some research, and we're talking skydiving elevations. I just went skydiving recently.
Yeah,
kind of
tall?
the same feeling. I look back at pictures and I'm like, I want to go again, because at the time you're nervous as hell, but then when it's over, it's like, oh my god, that was the feeling.
How high was the first one you did? It was 14?
Kilimanjaro is pretty high. It's 19,100 something, I guess.
So you have to.
So but it's not a technical mountain. It's basically walking uphill for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
But
7 days.
Yeah. Well, 7 days to get up and down.
Right. So it's not like you got got to have the hooks and you're swinging across valleys and
right. There's no equipment, no crampons.
Okay.
It's just walking up dirt.
Crampons.
Up a hike, yeah.
Those the spiky things. Crampons.
Okay, yeah. None of that. So
None
this
of
is
that.
it's like it's you can do it. Like anybody can do it.
Yes.
Right, but I mean, if you're in good enough shape, I guess, you have to prepare for something like that. Because I just think I've got a lot of friends from Colorado that, try to do all the 14. They were like, we're going to go do the 14er, today.
Right.
And you drive up, and I'm like, I'll drive up and meet you at the top, But I walk that like little bitty, like the 100 feet up at the top from the parking lot. But, you hear that all the time. So 19, I'm going, okay, my friends that are great shape, that do this, and they're real active all the time, like doing the dirt, the bicycle.
BMX.
Yeah, BMX kind of stuff. But I'm just thinking like that to go your first one, 19,000, to go up to that elevation. I remember when I went up just a hill, Cullen, in Colorado. This was not, it was, I think, 8,000 feet or something.
Yeah.
And I get to the top, and I feel like my fingers got fat, and they were tingling, and I couldn't, and I was like, I mean, it takes an effect on your body. It's like scuba diving. You got to acclimate as you go down, right? So it's the same thing. So on your first mountain, you don't know anything about it. You're just, la-di-da, let's just go climb this mountain, you and your wife start walking up. Did you feel those effects?
Shortness of breath and
irritability.
Yeah,
altitude, if you've never experienced it, is something else. I mean, it can hammer you pretty easily, and it can actually, obviously can kill you if you don't know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
But on Kilimanjaro, we were with a local Tanzanian guy who had climbed it a lot of times, and he knew how slow that we needed to go to acclimatize. So it's a very, very slow walk.
Okay. Okay. So this is you weren't just willy nilly. There it is.
No.
Let's go.
No.
So you got a guide.
If you want to summit, you got to take your time because
Okay.
your body has to adjust to that altitude. So you could, if you were already acclimatized, you could get to the top pretty quickly.
Okay.
But when you first get over there and you're flying in from Birmingham at 600 feet,
Yeah. Right.
you've got to really go slow.
Okay.
And then there's one day that you don't even do anything, but you just kind of go up and come back down just to get more altitude, get your body acclimatized better.
Yeah,
so,
that's crazy.
So you people that try to do it in 4 or 5 days very rarely make it.
How long did it take y'all to do the
It
first?
took us 7.
So this is your first mountain you've ever climbed, and you do one of the biggest ones, right? And you get up there and you're at the top. What is that feeling like? Because I mean, you make it to the top after 7 days. You got to be like, wow, like so. Were you just so?
I was. It was very emotional.
Yeah, it was
for
a
me.
high.
Yeah, it was because I probably would have turned around had I been by myself.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because I was not in good enough shape to really do it. But honestly, the thought of my wife making it and me not making it,
That'll get you every
right
time.
big
Whippersnapper.
No, you don't.
So, and she showed no signs of turning around. So I pretty much didn't have a choice but to, keep
Pull it
kind of
together.
going together. So the last, because on summit day, you start out around midnight. So you're climbing that's the big day. That's
Okay.
about a 17-hour day up and back. And you're climbing most of it in the dark. And so you really can't see more than 2 or 3 feet, just headlamp in front of you. So when the sun came up, we were on the summit ridge.
Oh, my gosh.
And then I could finally see the summit, which was still an hour or two away, but I could see it. And that kind of gives you a boost. But, the last mile or whatever it was, I was moving very, very slow and stopping, catching my breath every few seconds, and finally made it. And it was just like a huge relief. Yeah. Really, more than a celebration.
It's a high, right? Just
that I knew I get to go down now.
I did. Yes.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how long do you get to stay up there without like literally running out of breath? I mean, like just I kind of took it for granted, the whole you will have shortness of breath. When I was where were we? I don't remember. We traveled somewhere,
like
but
skiing or snowboarding.
Yeah. Oh, over in Big Bear or something, and it was just like one of those things like, yeah, whatever. But then like you realize like, oh crap, like I'm having a hard time breathing, and then I get a headache, and then you're just snapping at your kids and wife, and it's like, what's going on? And then you just changes your mentality and your attitude. And but yeah, no, so I just couldn't imagine. I was ready to get home, I was like, get out of there.
Yeah.
But you have to come down. So is it kind of like coming in scuba diving, coming back up to the surface too fast, it'll blow your insides out versus coming down too fast.
Coming down, you can go as fast as you want.
Yeah, really? Okay.
No. That's the fun part, right?
The only problem is, it's the fun part on the easier mountains. On the more difficult mountains, it's actually more difficult going down.
Yeah.
And that's usually where most of the accidents happen, too, is on the descent. So
really?
Like a mountain like Denali or Everest, of course I haven't been to the summit of Everest, but I have been to the summit of Denali. You have to you can't get too emotional at the summit, because you realize that most people that die on these mountains die on the way down.
Okay.
And so you truly are only halfway.
Right, you got to be mentally sharp.
You got to be mentally sharp
down.
because a lot of people spend so much energy getting to the top that they don't have anything left to get down, and then the fatigue sets in, and so it's easier to make a mistake. It's easier to fall. It's easier, it's much easier to fall going down something very steep and slippery than it is going up.
Right,
having a kid climb a tree, I'm like, okay, just reach up. But then when coming down, I'm like, okay, hang on, let me get up under you, because you're going to slip and fall.
The little rock quarries over here at the preserve or whatever. Those I remember when I was in high school, I'd always get up to the top and be like, oh crap, now how do I get back down? How do I get down this thing?
So what are they called? Sherpas? Sherpas. The guides or the locals, I guess. So do they? I'm just trying to picture.
How does this work? Do you like pay? Do you
paint a picture for me? Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm just looking at this mountain, and I'm like, do I go that way? Do I go that way? Or what if I go that way, and then I have to like come back?
Trails.
But so they do this like
every day,
regularly.
Can you imagine doing that?
So the Sherpas are an ethnic group of people that live in Tibet and Nepal, near Everest in the Himalayas, and they, they've been there for generations, so they have adapted to the elevation, and it doesn't affect them as much. It does still affect them; they're still, human.
It's high,
but
it's high up there.
They seem to handle altitude way better than the rest of the world, and they're just the very, very elite climbers in Nepal and Tibet are the people that guide you up Everest.
Right.
And, they're like superhuman, honestly.
That's your top tier right there.
Yeah, it's like they're NBA players. They're like superstars in their country. And so they very few people could even attempt Everest without their help.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
because you definitely have to have somebody go with.
We have to know. You have to have somebody that's been there, but they also are the ones that put the tents in and put the ladders in the ice fall, and they set the ropes. There are climbers in the world that could summit Everest for sure without their help, but most recreational climbers like me would have zero chance.
It's kind of like a tandem skydive. Like they know, they do the parachute for you.
Guide. Yeah.
So you have to have trust in that group of people on the other side of the world. I'm sure you probably get to know them pretty well. Doing what you do.
Yeah.
So that's insane.
Yeah, and you're there. So I've been there 4 times, so I know a lot of them personally. We're friends. And then you're there for such a long period of time. Everest is a very long expedition. It's usually 6 to 7 to 8 weeks. So you're there, 24/7.
Yeah, a couple months doing this
with
mountain.
them for a long period of time. So you get to know everybody pretty well.
That's a daggum commitment.
With
right
no...
there. And you've been 4 times. For 2 months every time.
Well,
I know you get cut short, and we'll get to that. But
no, the longest I've been on Everest was 36 days.
Okay,
it felt like a year.
Right. It's so cold too. Like
out there, like by yourself, or technically by yourself.
Well, I'm sure there's
away
like
from
hundreds
civilization.
of people. Yeah.
Like. I'm just trying to equate that to be like kind of like
you got to like mentally. My whole thing is like, how do you mentally prepare yourself? I mean, you said you started when you're 50, so you like it's not something that you kind of grew up around, and so I I don't know what made you.
There's
do
a
it?
life lesson behind this. What's the life lesson?
I know what you're I know what you're saying. Like you went to the first one and you got to the top and you came back down and you were like, I'm never doing this again. And then you just remember the high and the feeling. I imagine that getting to the top, the peak of a mountain like that is what I call like an aha moment. Like spiritually, I mean, that's that's an aha moment. That's like as close to God as you can get. That's how I imagine it being, and just being like, I remember just that little one that I climbed. It's like I got to the top and it was so silent, and all I could hear was like the wind, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. You could see forever, and you just really felt like you were on top of the world. So I totally get like why people do it and get addicted to that rush and that feeling. So that's pretty much just what happened to you, right? You just kind of got addicted to it and were like, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So you start so now you're into it. Now it's not just something you're going to do, but now you're like, okay, let me research this, and you start training. So you're better for the next one. So you get to the second one. Where's the second one?
Second one was in Russia. It's a mountain called Mount Elbrus. So it's the highest in Europe.
Wow.
It is a true, glacier. So it's crampons, ropes.
Oh wow.
All that.
Like ice, like just straight up
ice.
I've got some of your pictures pulled up here, and it's just insane looking. Seeing these like huge, just chunks of ice that you're having to, and ladders like roped together.
Yeah, that's on Everest, the ones with the ladders.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Elbrus doesn't have any ladders. It's just a big glacier.
Okay.
Down, it's in Russia, down on the border near Georgia, down in that area. Beautiful part of the world, but pretty remote.
Right.
If you're not a mountain climber, there'd probably be no reason to go there.
Right. Okay.
But we didn't know what we were doing. We hired Russian guides that really didn't speak much English, and they probably thought we were
You're just pantomiming, this goes here, like
crazy
with your hands.
Americans, because we'd never been on crampons before or used ropes before, so we had to go through some training over there before they would let us go on the mountain.
You went to training over there, so I was going to ask you, what made you choose that mountain next?
Well, I read this book called The Seven Summits, and it was written by this guy that was the first person to ever climb them all. And it's, I stumbled on the book by accident, just in a bookstore one day. But so we took them in the order he took them. So, Kilimanjaro is the easiest, so you start with that.
Okay.
Then Elbrus is the next easiest, so you want to take them in order.
Okay.
Denali's always 6, Everest is always 7. So
you think you're having to use all this stuff, and you think that it sounds to me like you went from the easiest to the hardest, like you're having to actually use all this stuff.
Well, it's very different in that it's really climbing on ice as opposed to walking up dirt.
Right.
But it's still compared to the others that were to come, it was easier.
Okay.
It's
so
18,500 feet.
Okay.
So
Jeez.
You knocked that one off the list.
Not terribly steep. Not
Okay.
terribly steep. So it's a kind of a gentle grade.
But you still have to go real slow, and it's slippery, and it's cold.
I was about to say slippery and cold. Like, are you having to deal with like the avalanches or the melting ice and just like what's it, sleeping? Like
You have to go.
I'm like
imagine
7 days with me packing. I pack like a girl, and I'm like I couldn't imagine to like the life or death, literally having to pack for stuff like this.
Yeah.
For 7 days, and then the sleeping arrangement.
one
like,
backpack.
How do you? Like I just can't fathom staying warm and eating.
And you're doing this
like,
with your wife, so y'all have like a tent, and you go up a little bit every day, and then you set up camp, and then y'all get in and you get warm and you eat and all that stuff, and then you pack it up, and if you feel good, you go out and do it again the next day and a little bit further, right?
Well, all these mountains have very well established camps now, so everybody kind of camps in the same spot.
Okay.
So depending on the mountain, Everest has base camp and then has 4 camps that are well established.
Right.
So you know how far it is from Camp 1 to Camp 2.
Right.
You know what to expect. And all the 7 summits are that way.
Okay.
They don't want you just up there walking around,
Willy-nilly,
getting lost. So
Yeah.
that's how a lot of people die on these mountains is they get in a storm and they don't know, they get turned around and they think they're going this way and they're actually going off this way, and then they never find them. So
Wow.
So it's very established, and it's gotten very detailed in terms of your packing stuff now. You know exactly what you need. So years of people doing these climbs, all the information that they've learned, we take advantage of that.
Right.
So the packing lists are very detailed. You don't want to take anything that you don't need.
Right.
I remember when we were in Antarctica, I had taken a big old camera, like a big Nikon camera. That made it to the first camp.
You're gonna have to leave
then
that.
We
bud.
buried it in we got bags and everything we did. So I went through all of our gear. I even took Band-Aids out that I didn't think I would need and took them out of my backpack because, every ounce matters.
Right, just the weight of a Band-Aid. Yeah.
So anything we didn't need, so every camp we would end up burying something. We thought we would need it, and then I really don't need it.
Yeah, we'll get it on the way back.
We'll get it on the way down.
There you go. At least you can bury it. I mean, I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Have you encountered any
Just
wildlife coming at you, or defensiveness?
There's no animals dumb enough to be up on
that. Well, I guess in Russia.
Except us.
In the altitude, yeah.
Yeah, of course, Antarctica, there's no life at all. Russia, I never saw an animal. Denali, they don't go up past the tree line, the bears and stuff. So that's one thing you typically don't have to worry about is any kind of animal.
Right.
attack.
Okay, so I'm trying to picture it in my head. Is there a lot of people at every one of these things? Like everybody's, like a tourist attraction, and everybody's there, and they each got their own little tour guides, and then y'all are all like, okay, we're in it together, and then you.
I was about to say, I'm gonna Google how many people have done the Seven Summits because there's got to be not that many.
I think about 400 people.
That's it in the entire world.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It may be more now because last time I checked, when I first started doing it, there was about 300. But it's becoming so popular now that there could be quite a few more now.
Right.
So you run. So a lot of the mountains have definite seasons.
Okay.
So like in Denali, you can only climb May, June, and July.
Okay.
Everest, you can only climb April and May.
Right.
Antarctica, you can only climb November, December, January.
Right.
So you kind of run into the same people.
Right.
You meet somebody in Antarctica, then you'll see them again on Denali, or that's happened a lot.
Yeah,
it's
like
kind
a
of a
community.
small fraternity of people
that are passionate about it and really want to do it.
Yeah, and then in terms of the numbers of people, it depends on the mountain. I mean, obviously in Antarctica, when we were there, we saw 7 people the entire time.
Wow.
But on Everest, at base camp, there may be 1,000 people when you count the climbers, the Sherpas, the cooks, the medical people. I mean, if you count everybody, it's like a little city.
Yeah.
Wow.
Base camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a tourist attraction.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, well, first, I guess avalanches. Any
Well, let's fast forward to so you've done your first 2 kind of different sides of the spectrum, and then they just get harder as you go.
Yeah.
And you get to the 5th one, and I know you said your wife, it was her idea to start this whole thing, and then she said, okay, well, I'm done. She's accomplished what she wanted to. I think I read that. So she at 5 was like, okay, I'm done. Why did you keep going?
Well, we had we did after Russia, we did Antarctica, and then went to Australia, which that's actually the easiest one, but that's another story. But we ran over there and did that one. You have to do it if you're going to do the 7th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aconcagua in Argentina was the 5th one, and that's 23,000 feet. That's a big mountain.
Wow.
That took 17 days, I think it was.
Wow.
So we did that one.
Now, is this the kind that you got to have the equipment for, or did you just walk up?
You have to have crampons for that, but there's no ropes.
Okay.
So it's still, you can be on some ice and snow at the top, but it's not steep enough to require ropes.
Okay.
But it's really high. It's the highest we've ever been at 23,000 feet.
I imagine that at that point you're just worried about your health and the altitude, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, and you're
slow.
just at that altitude, you're really not thinking that. The big concern there is just making a dumb decision, because you're not really thinking clearly. So after that, we did go to Denali together. She wanted to do Denali. We tried it in 2010 and got up to 14,000 feet, and we both realized we were over our head.
Okay. So that's the kind that you actually need ropes and everything, and it's a lot more.
Or was it the climatization?
It was a
body?
combination. There's no Sherpas on Denali, so you carry everything.
Oh, wow.
And so we were both carrying when you start out, we were carrying about 80 pounds.
Wow.
Going up this steep mountain, so it's very very difficult from a physical strength standpoint, because you're wearing a pack with about 40 or 50 pounds, and you're pulling a sled with another 20 or 30 pounds.
Wow.
And so that really starts to weigh on you. The weather on Denali is really windy, cold. It's the coldest mountain in the world. It really starts to mess with you mentally. And then the really hard part of the climb starts at 14,000, and we were already wasted.
At 14, yeah.
So we decided to turn around, and then I went back the next year without
So
her.
you went home and trained.
I went home and trained for a year.
Okay.
And then tried to figure out all the things I did wrong. I took some. I didn't have the right equipment. I made a lot of stupid mistakes.
You found out.
I found out
through
the hard
training.
way.
Yeah.
Right. And then I trained better, went back in 11 and summited.
I would
And
imagine
did
that
it,
it made caused like some type of depression and like just the like the failure mentality or whatever, and then why you probably because I'm the same way. Like I gotta figure this out.
Set out to do something, I gotta
figure this out. Yeah, like this podcast and stuff like.
Well, I mean, it's the first time we'd ever failed on one.
Right.
So that we hadn't really experienced. We've gotten so lucky. The first 5, just the weather, having a good team with us, just happened to be feeling good that week, whatever it was, it just all kind of fell into place. And then on this one, to have to turn around and go back down took 3 days to get back down. So you're thinking about it all the way,
whole
Right.
time.
Just kind of defeated,
yeah, because you were expecting to be celebrating, and instead you're really bummed out. So that was hard.
But that also lit the fire under your ass to keep going, right? And go home and train.
I felt like it was obvious what we did wrong, so I felt like it was correctable.
Right. Okay. So tell me what training? I mean, we're down here in
saw a
Birmingham. What are you
picture-
doing? How do you train?
Yeah, I saw a picture of you on a stair climber with a backpack on at the gym. Like,
Yeah, we're pretty limited. Like your friends in Colorado have it made. They can just walk up a 14er every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, we have to get a little more, a little more creative.
Okay.
So, and there's a real science. I didn't realize it at the time, but there's a real science to training for these kind of things. And I managed to find a coach who's like the leading coach in the world for this kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I got him to take me on as a client.
Nice.
And so he's actually in Seattle, but I would get a detailed report. I would get a detailed thing. Here's what you do today, every single day for 9 months.
Okay.
And I just followed that plan to the whatever he said do is what I did.
Okay. And
a
it
lot of it
obviously
was-
paid off because you summited.
A lot of it was stair machine because that's the closest thing we have to walking uphill with a backpack.
Did you say 9 months?
Yeah,
so
9
you're
months.
training for 9 months to.
Like, what do you like every day or a
6
couple
days a week.
6 days. Wow.
Whoa.
Think about the physical demand on
And you
your-
can't replicate altitude down here necessarily, can you?
No, there's nothing you can do. I mean, I did go to Ecuador a couple times. I went to Seattle. I went to Mexico to get on some big mountains.
Okay.
Just to get high again.
Okay.
To practice. But here, no. I mean, all you can do is get your body, get your endurance
Right.
as high a level as you can get it, and then hope for the best on the altitude.
Okay.
So the headline story and stuff that I've seen, what happened next is you
So,
you
well, you've
prepared for
done
9
6,
months to go
yeah.
to Everest.
No, he goes
Or
to
3.
Denali.
Denali, okay.
This is a 6th one, right?
Okay.
And so now you're doing it on your own. So your wife she said, okay, I'm done.
Right.
She feels good about it. She stopped.
Right.
No more mountain climbing for her. And you're like, no, I can do this, right? And so you go by yourself. That's got to be a different.
Well, I mean,
experience.
I had my 2 friends with me, but
Okay.
I meant when I meant by myself, I meant she didn't go back.
Okay, I was going to say that's like a whole different
You still
experience.
went by
'Cause now
yourself.
you don't have that motivation. The wife saying, "Well, I'm going to go," and you don't have that. So I'm sure it was a different experience to go with, even with just with friends instead of with your wife and that somebody that you're that close to, emotional support and everything else.
Yeah, it was the first time I'd been done one without her, and it was, I knew it'd be hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it started out so easy, and we got up to where Julie and I turned around, made it up there really fast. The weather was perfect. I was feeling great, but Denali has a way of never making it easy, and the weather moved in, so we got stuck for 6 days there.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't go outside the tent, and then.
So you're just
decided-
alone in your tent
I was alone in a one-man tent for 6 days.
with what? Like, how are you
Wow.
staying warm?
Well, I mean, I've got a sleeping bag and got down clothes. I mean, it's not difficult to stay warm in the tent.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty cozy in there,
Yeah.
really. But it's just the isolation,
The
and
mental,
the
yeah.
mental part of it.
Right.
I had a little video iPod. Back then, they made these little video iPods, and I had some TV shows downloaded on there that unfortunately not near enough because I didn't expect to be in that situation. So I had to watch them over and over again.
Yeah,
But
just to stay mentally with it.
Just to have something to do.
Right. Because you can't really move. I mean, you're just in a tent. You got to stay in there.
Yeah, so my guide would, I'd hear him yell, and I'd unzip the tent, and he'd hand the food in. And then the zipper would go back up, and I wouldn't see him till the next meal. And
that's how bad the weather was.
Yeah,
like
it was
you
bad.
just couldn't.
Wow.
It was bad. Like 60 to 100 mile an hour winds.
You got to be thinking like
60 to 100 mile an hour winds.
Like people at Cullen, people die on these mountains too. I mean, so you got to
all
be
the time.
thinking like you're going, oh my god, you don't know if it's going to get worse. You don't know if if an avalanche is going to fall down on top of you while you're eating your soup. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
Honestly, for me, it was kind of good that I was ignorant to a lot of these things. So a lot of times I didn't realize I was in danger, which made it a lot easier.
Okay.
I didn't
That's the
really
best way
figure
to
it
do
out
it.
until I didn't figure out until I was home.
Yeah.
That was probably not good.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, but
Oblivious.
we had 10 people die on Denali that year. It was a difficult year.
And you knew that going into it.
No, I mean they died while we were there, so I didn't
Oh, my
really know
God.
until the season was over.
Anybody you knew, or
No.
just
Well, I mean, a guy that I met at right there at that camp where we got stuck. I mean, we talked to him, and he ended up not coming back. So
Wow.
you don't really know him. I didn't really know him, but I'd met him the day before.
seen
Did
his
you
face
know
and
like
he was-
how, why? It's like you don't make that same mistake. Like I'm
Yeah,
like
he was
asking all these questions.
He was with a guy that got sick and went down, and so he decided to climb on his own by himself. And he was going to try to ski from the summit. He was a really accomplished climber and skier, and went up on his own, and then got into a storm, and instead of taking
Same
the
storm?
right turn, he skied right off the.
Wow.
So same storm that you were
The same
hunkered down in.
Same weather pattern, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So that was so that hit home. I mean, but
Right.
These guys that you're with, literally, and they're with you. Y'all are there to save each other's life, just like you're with your wife. I mean, you're like something happens.
Well, it's like you're
There's
they're
hands.
not counting on me. Okay?
It's like you're
I'm
safe
counting
because
on them.
you're safe. Like in something like that, I imagine that you feel real safe because you have a guide and you have that this foot goes in front of this foot and like where you're going in each base and all this stuff. Kind of like skydiving. It's dangerous. You know that people have died doing this. You know the danger involved, but you feel comfortable because you have somebody that knows what they're doing, that you're strapped to, that's going to pull the cord. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you don't really have that fear like. I could die doing this, but then you come down. Was this the first time that you had come down and realized that a lot of people had died on the same mountain you just summited?
No, actually, in Argentina, 5 people died while we were there, and we actually passed a couple of those bodies on the way up. So
No.
yeah, so we were aware. That people were dying of it. It's like rockfall. This person had a heart attack. You don't really know.
Right.
It's kind of the luck of the draw sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I think looking back on it, I probably was not experienced enough to do Denali because even though you've got guides with you, you're on ropes and you're pretty spread out from each other. In case one of you falls into a crevasse, you don't want to be too close.
Right.
You want to be able to stop that person. So you're climbing by yourself.
Right.
And the big fear is that you'll get tired and you'll forget to clip into the line.
Okay.
And then you'll slip. So if you're clipped in and you fall, you won't fall far.
Okay.
You might break a leg. It could be bad, but you're not going to fall 3,000 feet. If you're not clipped in and you fall, you can fall 3,000 feet.
And that'd be it.
And so looking back on it, there was probably a lot of times where I was not super dialed into what I should be doing,
Really?
but got away with it.
wow.
You just like going through life. I mean, you're just doing the same thing over and over again, not thinking about the next step, and then all of a sudden you forget to clip in. And
No, you're just clipped into
you
to yourself. You're not actually attached to any other people, are you?
Yeah, so it depends. It depends on what section you are on the climb. So there's a fixed line though. There's a line in the mountain that's put in.
Do you like screw in?
And some
the mountain?
and you screw in some of the steeper sections. So you're actually clipped to that line.
Okay.
And that's what saves your life if you fall. Is that you're only going to fall from where you are to that wherever.
Have you ever fell?
I did. I fell.
I bet your stomach went straight up. You know what I mean?
I fell in Antarctica, and you learn how to stop yourself with your ice axe and stuff. It's called a self-arrest. So you practice, but you never know, whether or not you'll think to do it when it really happens. And I fell, and immediately, I mean, it was like, boom. I mean, I probably only slipped about 4 or 5 feet.
Okay. And you hooked yourself back in.
Yeah, I hooked myself in, and it was like, your heart goes up. And I fell on Everest in the Khumbu ice fall a couple times.
Wow.
Which is not good.
Yeah.
I don't like that when you fall.
That's so scary. I mean, because you don't know, like, you just got to trust. I mean, you feel better knowing that you're clipped in, but at the same time, it's like you're still falling, and you're like, is it going to pull out of the mountain? Am I gonna, you know what I mean? That's still, it's like a roller coaster.
It happened so fast. I mean, it honestly happened so fast that, I fell a couple times in there, not far enough to hurt me and whatever, but.
Thank God, yeah.
But you got back up and kept going. The metaphor in life here is amazing with the mountain and the climbing, the falling, and the getting back up.
That's where it comes from, is mountaineering. I love it.
This is incredible.
So you've done the summit. This is the 6th one, and now you're like, well, I got one more. It's the big one. It's Everest, right?
Yeah.
So tell us your story. What happened on Everest?
That one, I never expected to be in that position, and I never even. I did start thinking about Everest as we were getting to like number 5 and number 6, but never thought about it that much because it just seems so impossible.
Right.
But then once you've done the others, it's really impossible not to try.
Right.
So I went over in 2013, and I was not ready.
No.
I'd kind of gotten to the top of these other mountains. I don't want to say I was sloughing off, but I wasn't really super dedicated and focused in on training at that point. I just managed to pull it off anyway, kind of cheating it in a way. And then I thought I could do that on Everest, and no, it didn't work. So I got to Camp 2, and just it was just I'd lost like 20 pounds. And
now Camp 2, these are rounds. I was reading about so you start at base camp, then you go to 2. You're not even going up all the way, and then you come back down, and then you go up to 3, and then come all the way back down. So you're not just climbing one time. You're like
you got
it's like suicides.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no one's figured out how to shortcut that too much yet. So basically, when you go to Everest, you land at 9,000 feet, and you hike to base camp, which is at 17,500. That takes 11 days.
Right.
So 11 days just to get to base camp?
Just to get to base camp. And then when you get to base camp, you go climb another mountain called Lobuche, which is a 20,000-foot mountain. So you climb it for practice. Which
20,000. How tall is Everest? I'm sorry.
29,000.
29. Okay.
But this practice mountain is as high as Denali.
Yeah.
And it looks like a hill over there, but it's a huge mountain. So you climb it, and then you go back to base camp, and then from there you go, halfway to Camp 1, come down. Then you go to Camp 1, come down. Go to Camp 1 to Camp 2, come down. Camp 1 to Camp 2 to Camp 3, come all the way back down, because your body's having to acclimatize.
Right.
If you drop somebody off on the summit of Everest right now, they'd be dead in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're not. It's just their body's not prepared for it.
Right. Your blood would turn to sludge.
So it's slow and steady.
Slow and steady, and time consuming, and so by the time I got to Camp 2, I'd been there a long time. Climbed another mountain, been up through the ice fall several times. So that's when I realized physically and mentally I couldn't do it.
Okay.
So I went home and wasn't going to go back, and then
Well, when you're up there, you can't call. Or do you call home? I mean, do you have phones?
I had a sat phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were able to call home and get some encoragement. You try, and then it was just kind of like, no.
I'm just over my head. I can't do it. So
Right.
I came home, signed up to go back in 2014. That's when I really took the training seriously.
So 1 year. 1 year later.
The next year.
Okay.
So I trained for 9 more months. Really took it seriously. Was in the best shape of my life. Was packed and ready to go. And the day before I left town, I got a call from my guide, and he said there had been a avalanche on the mountain, and it had killed 16 Sherpas. So the whole season was called off.
Wow.
So I never even left home.
Those are the people that are doing it every day.
Yeah. They're there, and it could have been. It just so happened to be Sherpas. It could have been
anybody.
Yeah.
But it
from
just
an avalanche.
From an avalanche in the ice fall.
Just like that.
Yeah, they were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. So the season was called off.
And you were ready too, and it was like, oh my God.
I was ready. So I decided to go back in 2015. Trained another year. Was really ready.
Yeah, then you're
now
double
I'm really ready.
Yeah.
So I went back, and things were going really good. I felt great. I'd been to Camp 1 already. Was supposed to, the next day I was headed to Camp 3. We were going 1, spend the night, a couple nights, 2, spend the night, up to 3. And on April 25th that year, I was in the dining tent at base camp when the earthquake hit. And so that was the big earthquake, 7.8 earthquake that,
in Nepal.
Yeah. So it killed 9,000 people in Nepal and killed 22 of us at base camp, 22 people at base camp that day.
You were you were there. Like,
I was there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You were talking about in yesterday's podcast about feeling the ground shake from the baseball game next door.
Yeah,
like, imagine that. Like, being at the base camp, the 7 point.
So not like you weren't at the third one. You were back down.
Yeah, I was at base camp. That's where everybody.
So there's thousands of people there.
Everybody that died. That's where it happened. Was base camp. Everybody on the mountain was fine.
Were you hurt? Did you?
I wasn't hurt, and it was just absolute luck of the draw, depending on where you were standing. Because when it hit, we were in the tent, and it's just like you see on TV with the floor buckling, the ground buckling, and all that was going. We knew immediately what it was. Ran out of the tent, and that triggered a bunch of avalanches.
I was just about to ask.
So they all started coming toward base camp, and
oh my god,
we didn't think they would ever reach us. It's just so far away, and they're so huge mountains. And then, in a matter of 2 seconds, it was from so far away you didn't think it could reach you till it was right on top of you.
And you're looking at it like
we're looking at it just
like herd of elephant sounding, like
just like a train. Honestly, just like a train. And we jumped back in the tent, held on, and it was over in like 20 seconds.
So you're in the tent, and snow's coming on top of you, and you're just holding on,
just holding on to the pole. I was just on the ground holding on to the pole, and
the pole's in the mountain, and that's what your tent's around, and you're just like,
oh
wow,
gosh.
And so then we left the tent, looked around, all of us, we were fine. We thought it was no big deal, and then our radio started going off, and people were saying, Mayday, we've got major injuries, we've got this and that. And what we didn't realize, base camp is not a real flat area. It's a very hilly area. You don't realize it until you're there.
Right.
And just what we didn't realize was our little pocket of tents was in this little valley that was protected. And then we went over this hill, and everything else was gone.
Wow.
So it's a miracle only 22 people died, really, because there was another 65 that were seriously injured.
What do you do at that point? How do you get them down? Like, you got all these. I'm sure it was just mayhem.
It was crazy, but I will say there's a lot of doctors that are climbers.
Okay.
That were there. The medical staff from Everest was there, so we just started pitching in, and people that were not injured just kind of did whatever. The doctors got in charge, and they said, "You go do this." They said, "We want you to go get sleeping bags. We want you to go get this," and so we just kind of went around and did the best we could, and to treat the injured. And then the helicopter started coming in and flying them off. So
as soon as it was safe for them to come, because I'm sure, and with the earthquake, you said 9,000 people down. So
and you raised 87,000 something for
so
people in Nepal.
My buddy, my Sherpa friend over there was his little village was totally destroyed. So a lot of the Sherpas that I knew came from one little village there. And their whole everything was gone.
Oh my gosh!
And so I told him, I promised him that when we came back, we'd try to raise some money. Thank goodness, the generosity of the people in Birmingham.
It sounds like it turned out amazing.
Yeah, we did a little hike out at Oak Mountain and ended up raising about right at 100 when it was all said and done.
That's amazing.
Which goes a long way in Nepal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what do you do after that? Like, you pack up and come home?
Yeah, the season was canceled.
It's done.
Right,
Yeah,
it's over.
And we were just fortunate. We didn't really want to feel sorry for yourself. Just fortunate to be alive at that point.
Think about how small you feel at that point. When in the big picture, here you are and you're doing this mountain, and you're getting there, you feel good, and then all of a sudden, bam, something like that happens, and it's just like, it just makes you feel so tiny in the big scheme of things, because it's just like, oh, no, not today. No, you're not.
I kind of go back to the mental thing, like asking about the depression and stuff, and like some of it was literally out of your control, so you had to go home. Like, there wasn't, so that defeat feeling wasn't there necessarily.
Right. No, I had no defeat feeling in 14 or 15 because there's nothing I could have done.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just happy to
be alive.
To be alive, because
you were there with that time. You said you were there with some friends that came from Birmingham and went with you, or you just were friends that you met while you were there? I mean,
No,
because
they
you
were-
spent so much time with these people.
Yeah,
I imagine.
nobody from Birmingham does it that I know of.
Yeah, just you. You're the only one I could find.
But it's friends that I'd climbed other mountains with.
Okay, so in the community.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and everybody you knew was okay.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah.
Everybody I knew that was okay. We just got, like I said, it was just if your tent was here, you were saved, and if your tent was here, you were not. And it was just the total random luck of the draw, really.
And your wife was like, "Never again. You're not going back." But then what happened? You went back, and
So I went back. So I went back in 2016, and never felt good. Something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what it was. I was really slow and wasn't feeling good, and started having some chest pain. And so
Now this is why you're at base. You're already over there.
I'm already there. I'm going through the ice fall again for the umpteenth time.
Right.
But really felt bad, sick, chest pain. Really felt terrible. So I went to the little hospital tent, and they said, you may be having a heart attack. We don't know what's going on. We're going to fly you off. So they flew me back to Kathmandu. Went to the hospital. Came home. Long story short, ended up having triple bypass surgery like 12 days later. So I didn't realize that I had 3 blocked arteries this entire time. I had no idea.
How long? So the whole time you've been going up these
The whole time I've
mountains?
been climbing because, that takes, the doctor said it probably started when I was 17 years old. The plaque in my arteries just slowly building and building and building. And it's
what was the term I read? It was called
so it's coronary artery disease, which is what a lot of people get.
Heart or something.
No, that's what they
that
thought.
something?
I think they thought that he might have had the.
They thought I had HAPE.
Hey,
Yeah, which is a real common thing you get at altitude.
I'm sure they see lots of people that get that. It's just the altitude sickness that's real severe.
Right.
Right.
And the
okay.
symptoms are similar to heart issue.
Okay.
Wow. So this was all unrelated.
So the entire time I'd been training, entire time I'd been climbing, I had no idea that I had these arteries.
You're doing it at 50%.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
your heart.
I had no idea. I trained so long that my heart compensated for the arteries. It was getting blood around some other way.
Wow.
So really, just the idea and you even setting out to do any of this probably helped you,
Saved your life.
Yeah, saved your life. I mean, it
No
helped
doubt.
you with
No
your.
doubt. I would have never known I had a heart issue, and I probably would have had a massive heart attack had I not gone back to Everest. If I'd quit after 15, I would have never known.
Wow.
And so
that gives me chills.
I know, right?
It's
Look.
crazy.
So that's why I'm so grateful that I went back.
I'm just gonna sit a little closer to get a little.
give me some of
you're
your
like the
luck.
luckiest man in the world. Yeah.
I'm going to take you when we go hiking next time, and I'm going to take you to the lotto.
so you get down and you go to down here to the hospital at home, and they say you got a heart issue. You got to go into surgery right away. I mean, it's life threatening. And so you open heart surgery.
Everybody was shocked. I mean, everybody was
It's
shocked.
like, no, not Kent. No way. He's
My cardiologist was shocked even. So.
yeah, you're so healthy.
And I'm putting some pictures up on the screen too, if y'all are watching, by the way, on YouTube. So be sure to check out some of the pictures because it's crazy just seeing you. One picture was the mountain. Next picture you just got like. You're like in the hospital with just can't even move because you're having surgery. I mean, I'm just like
you go on the Facebook
everywhere.
I mean, that's just. I mean, that's amazing. That's like wow. That story. I mean, that's just so amazing. So now what? Like you said, okay, that's it. Obviously, you can't go back. I mean, or can you? I don't know.
Well, I did go back. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I thought that was it.
I went back this year.
Did you
really?
Yeah. So. I knew it was a long shot at my age and after everything that I'd been through. But I thought with the right medication, I could give it one more chance.
Okay.
So I went over this year and did great until I went through the ice fall again, did great until I got above a certain altitude.
Okay.
And at that point, I just didn't.
You knew.
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew not to push it.
Your body said no.
Yeah, I mean, it's people say, well, you made a good decision to turn around. The truth is that most of the time your body makes the decision. Mm-hmm. You're not really making it. You can either go or you can't.
Right.
And I felt really strong up until a certain altitude, and then once I got above like 19,000 feet, it just really felt hard, and that's not supposed to happen, at that altitude. So,
do you think it has anything to do with your heart condition?
Yeah, I mean, I figured out I've got a little bit of a pulmonary hypertension issue.
Okay.
And I thought I could control it with medication, but it just never felt good, and I didn't. I've got too much to live for.
Right.
To push it. So.
So is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
Never say never, but yeah.
Never say never, but
I imagine if you lived in Colorado and you were doing 14ers every day and you were so used to that altitude, I wonder if that would, if you would then be okay to go
maybe
higher,
so. Maybe so. I mean, I don't. I think physically. I mean, if it's something that's physical that I can't do it, then I have an easier time letting it go.
Right.
It's really not. It's not like a give up issue.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's like you see the finish line, but it's just like you're not. I mean, it's not. It's like out of your control yet again.
So like, 4 times you've been out there. You've cheated death. I mean,
it's very frustrating not to have pulled it off because I really always thought I would.
Yeah, but
I always thought I'd figure out a way. But at some point, you just have to accept that you can't do some things you can't do.
Right.
I've got a picture pulled up here that says most people don't regret things they did; they regret things they didn't do. Yeah. And that was off your Facebook, I think. And then this other one that says, it's not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Those are very inspirational and inspiring pictures that I saw, and just the beauty in the view. It's just
that's amazing. I mean, your story is just so cool. And you said you have a daughter, I know, and I think I read somewhere that she is a mountain climber. She's a mountaineer too, right?
Well, she's she's. I don't call any of us mountaineers. So she called me and said she'd never been hiking. Really, she'd been hiking, a lot of hiking, but no climbing.
Okay.
And so she was in school in Nashville at Vanderbilt and called me and said she wanted to do one big adventure before she started her real first job.
Okay.
And we were going to go to Mount Rainier in Washington, which is a very doable mountain.
Yeah.
But my buddy, my friend who's a guide, said you need to go back to Everest and do Russia with her. That'd be a much cooler trip.
Right, it'd be something big.
Something big and something she could really, train for. So she trained for 5 months with my guy, 2 to 5 hours a day.
Wow.
And got ready, and we went over there, and she walked right up it and did great. So,
wow.
Yeah, that was
just
her
walked.
Yeah, she left me behind. Did good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're like, hold on, slow down.
Yeah.
Pace yourself.
I was worried about her, and then she ended up waiting on me. So,
I mean, and you, I'm sure, inspired her to even do that in the first place. If you had never gone up that first mountain, that would have never been something that she aspired to do. And
you said there's no animals or anything over there, around necessarily. And being from the deep south over here, I'm like, what did y'all eat?
Yeah, what do you eat?
You can't go hunting or anything. Obviously, I mean, you want to pack your food, but is it dried, frozen food? Freeze-dried food.
It depends on the mountain too. On Everest at base camp, there's really pretty good food. They've got a big kitchen there, and they can cook a lot of stuff. But above base camp, it's all MREs. So it's ramen noodles, or it's I take.
What's MRE stand for?
It's the the
meal ready,
whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
So it's like military kind of stuff.
Oh, I got you.
Stuff you can put in boiling water, or you just
that's
add
lightweight.
hot water to. Yeah, that doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to be taking canned goods with you,
Yeah.
So it's and that's one of the mistakes that I made on Denali the first year. I let somebody else pick my food for me, and there was a lot of stuff up there that at altitude I couldn't get down. Because it's really hard to eat at altitude. People don't realize it's very difficult to make yourself eat when you get really high altitude.
No appetite.
No appetite at all. And then you lose a lot of weight. You get weak, and it just starts feeding on itself.
But you got to for the energy, because you
have
need
to have
so
it
much energy.
because you're burning 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day or more.
There's a diet plan for you right there.
I was about to say, prepping too, as far as preparation, not just physically, but did you have to, with your diet, for your
food.
5 month, 9 month, whatever it was before?
Yeah, I mean, I did alter my diet to go to a lot less carbs and a lot more protein stuff, and trying to train the body into burning fat instead of sugar.
Okay.
So there's a whole science to that too.
Yeah, you just really tried to get the best advantage you could, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't as disciplined on the diet part as I was on the training part, but I did pretty radically change my diet because I'm a big carb eater.
Are you?
Yeah, potatoes, pizza, bread.
No more pasta for this guy. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, I gotta ask, where do you go to the bathroom?
Oh,
I mean, what do you do?
Yeah,
You're with a group
Dig a
of people,
hole?
like, excuse me, like, get your ice pick out.
So you get that question every time. You do what you have to do, but everything. I'll say this: everything that goes up the mountain comes down. Okay. So you don't leave anything up there.
Oh, you got to carry it with you. Huh?
Yeah.
It's like picking up after
That's
your
like dog shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like Antarctica, such a pristine environment, such a beautiful, the last thing you would want, and plus it's, if there's trash or anything there, it's not going to go away. It's,
Right. You got to take it back.
You got to take it back to keep
preserve the mountain. Yeah.
It's like rapid fire. How much money are you spending on these trips? I mean, if you don't mind me, it's
Well, there are obviously
like
a huge range between a trip like, Everest or Kilimanjaro.
Right.
And they all, it really depends on, we did Kilimanjaro with Tanzanian guides. We did Elbrus with Russian guides. So we didn't spend what we would have spent had we hired American guides for those mountains. But we didn't know any
Why would
better.
you want an American?
We didn't know Americans even guided those mountains when we
Really?
went because we were so
You
naive.
get somebody from there. Yeah.
Right, but it turned out to be a much better experience because it was more genuine. I liked climbing Elbrus with Russians.
Yeah.
I liked climbing Kilimanjaro with Tanzanians.
Right,
So
you
it
get
was
their
better.
culture.
they're like the bellboys at the hotels. Like, come on, let's go. Let me take the bags. I'll meet you at the top.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so you can
Crazy.
spend as much as you want. Everest is a mountain I did not want to scrimp on.
Yeah.
Because most people that die on Everest, if you do the research, they go with cut rate companies that they may not have enough oxygen, that they may not have the support, they may not have the experienced Sherpas.
Yeah.
So that's a mountain you don't want to
No, not at
scrimp
all.
on. So.
I saw a picture of you with a mask. You said oxygen. So, like, y'all are taking oxygen tanks and everything?
On Everest, you have to use oxygen above a certain altitude. Yeah, but that's the only one. Typically, you don't use oxygen until you're over about 23,000 feet.
Okay.
So there's not that many mountains that are that high. So
The human mind and body is just amazing. Every day I'm learning more and more. I'm just
I
like,
know.
this is incredible that you're like physically
How
doing
you can
this
push
stuff.
yourself to it.
Yes, and
that's
like
amazing.
get knocked down, get back up, get knocked down, get back up,
Yeah.
and like literally, if you hadn't have gotten knocked down and got back up, you wouldn't have found out about your heart issues
Yeah,
and all that. Like it's
exactly.
just mind blowing.
How it works, I know. So you're born and raised in Birmingham.
No, I was born in Gadsden, but I actually grew up in Ohio. My dad got
Okay.
transferred up there when I was in fourth grade.
Okay.
Fourth grade. So I went to high school up there, and then
Okay.
came back to Alabama for college.
Similar
Well,
state,
so-
I think. Ohio.
Yeah.
We both are big cornhole states, but so you came back down to Alabama, and this is where you've met your wife, and you started your family, and you have. I know you have a girl. Do you have any other children?
I have a son.
You have a son
29,
too.
yeah.
Okay, good deal. Is he into the whole?
Not at all.
No, you can say that. I don't want nothing to do with it. I love it.
So far, but I didn't get started till I was 50, so he's still got plenty of time if he wants to get into it.
Right.
That's
he could.
another testament to this whole thing. Is like it's never too late to start.
It's
like
never too
I
late.
see that on the internet all the time with this entrepreneurship stuff. But like literally, you started doing Mount Everest and stuff. And that's just.
I was watching your.
I commend you. I
I read
commend you.
something that your wife had gone to. She had gone across a state in like 10 days on her bicycle, and I was just like, "That's so cool." Our mother, she went across the country
yeah.
when she was 16 or something on a bicycle, and it just that's a huge physical thing.
Back
know?
wheels
So-
in the Pacific, front
Yeah.
wheels in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Like that's what she did. Like
awesome.
started there and went there.
I mean, it's just the mindset. It's like for people. Anytime I've ever traveled, and I saw you've traveled all over the place. I saw you were in Athens recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just traveling all over the world to do these mountains, or just traveling, I guess, just to travel. I've noticed that people that are like that see the world in a totally different way than people that never go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like the world is way smaller. Like you can go here, you can do this, you can meet. You know what I mean? And it's just.
I bet
that's
you've given your kids some very thought felt conversations, or you've had those talks with them about success in life, and I can just see like your outlook is like she said, just completely
Totally
flipped
different.
upside down.
Yeah, it's
Especially
totally
the
different.
near death experience with the avalanche and the earthquake. Like, golly.
I mean, just down here in Alabama, it's like, oh, you go into the Target as a thing. You're like planning a trip. Like your wife, this is what I was getting at. Is your wife? She just, hey, honey, I'm going for 10 days on a bicycle. I'll see you. You know what I mean? It's just like, or go 2 months to another country and to try to tackle a mountain. I mean, it's just that mindset of like nothing is too big to try to accomplish and try to reach. And I love that. I mean, it's very inspiring, and I think you're a very inspiring person. I mean, your story is amazing, and glad you're still here to tell it. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Right? It seems like you've lucked out for sure.
Yeah, I've been lucky.
So what's next? What do you got on the roster?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure, the thing, and, the travel thing. We didn't travel at all for 50 years. So we only started traveling when we started this climbing. And then, we've more than made up for it now, seeing so many amazing places. And travel can become addicting, for sure.
Yes.
And that's kind of our passion now. But every time we travel, we try to find something challenging to do. So it's not just going to Paris and drinking wine all day.
Right.
Which
so
would
that's
be
how
okay.
I travel.
Which would be okay.
That's my kind of trip.
So we usually look for something physical, whether it's diving or hiking or climbing or whatever. But this is the first time that I have not had a really big, project that I've been working for. So
Okay.
I feel a little lost right now.
Do you?
So I'm trying to find it.
Like a goal to obtain, or like something 9 months in advance.
We gotta find you something, Kent. We gotta
Something to train for.
Right.
I mean, I'm still going to the gym every day, kind of thing, but not
I know.
4 or 5 hours at a time.
Yeah.
I got it.
right.
Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, if they have a 63 and over division.
We did mention target bowling before the podcast started. You can start doing that.
No, I think that's a little under.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but you traveling the world. I mean, you gotta. I would pick a place and then find something cool in that place to do, right? The traveling, like you said, is addicting. I loved it. And I did as much as I could. And then it was time for me to okay, I'm getting older. I need to stop and have a family if I'm ever going to have one.
Right.
And so I had to sit down. But
What's the great thing about once your kids are gone, see?
Right? See?
Yeah.
So we've got, I've got a great company here that can run without me, and they do a great job. So we've got a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you get away with work?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just got a great team. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been doing it a long time, so
Trust you to do it.
yeah, and we laugh about it, but usually when I'm out of the country, we have like record months.
Really? It's like, could you leave again?
Yeah, so,
Like,
so I never
everything
feel
else.
bad about leaving because they do just fine without me.
Me and my wife have a joke every time I get up to go to the bathroom at a restaurant and the food comes. Yeah, it's the same concept.
thing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's just leave then.
What's your favorite, the favorite place you've traveled to so far?
Oh, wow. I would say South Africa, if I had to name a country, would be
Okay.
number one. But we took an amazing trip to Indonesia a couple of years ago that would rank way up there. I would put...
Land of Milk and Honey.
yeah, that was amazing. And then we did a trip to Namibia, of all places, that we really didn't know much
I've never
about.
heard of that. What is it?
And it turned out to be unbelievable.
Say it again. What is it?
Namibia.
Namibia? I've never
Yeah.
heard. I mean,
So it's on the west coast of Africa, just above
Okay.
South Africa.
I've always wanted to go to Africa. I've never been. I just started doing, like, I did Greece and Thailand and in a trip, and it's like when I go over there, I want to get as many as I can, but I
Yeah.
want to have time to enjoy each one of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was looking at your picture. I was like, oh, I was there too. The last big trip I went on, it was to Athens, and I did the couch surfer, which I was in my 20s still, and I literally just living with strangers all
Yeah.
around the world. Like, hey, can I sleep on your couch? Sure, but it was the only way I could afford it, really, and it's like you said, it's addicting. So
Well, we
I've got to try
like
that.
getting to the more remote. Like we went to Ethiopia a couple years ago, which is a place I never thought I would go, and it was
Right.
fascinating. So, like getting away. I mean, Athens was okay, but it's just a jumping off place.
Right? Yeah,
And
it's like a
we wanted
tourist.
to get
Yeah.
to the islands and get away from the cities.
Yeah.
So we don't do a lot of travel in Europe. We mostly go to Africa and Asia.
Yeah, I'm over Europe. I've done all of it,
don't
and
care
I've
about
drank
it.
the wine in Paris.
Yeah.
I'm over. I want to do more Asia. Like, I really want to go to Japan. I'm really into there. I read Shogun again. My dad, it's like my dad's favorite book, and I don't know. Every time I read that book, I'm like, I'm going to Japan this year. But yeah, what's on the list? What's on your bucket list?
Well, we've got a lot of places we want to go we haven't been to, but again, I'm trying to find that big challenge that doesn't require me to go above 20,000 feet.
Right? That's all you got to do.
And there's plenty of challenges out there. I'm just trying to decide. I've been toying with the idea. There's a thing called the last degree, which is it's in Antarctica. They drop you off and you ski the last degree to the South Pole, which is a great adventure. Of course, it's really
so
cold.
like North Pole to South Pole?
No, so they drop you off, the last degree of the latitude.
Oh, okay, I see.
Latitude. And they drop you off there, and so you have a sled, you're on skis, and you pull your own tent, and your own food and everything, and you make it to the South Pole is the goal.
Oh, wow.
And it's really remote, obviously. You don't see another person for days.
That'd be cool.
That'd be a really fun.
Yeah, something to accomplish.
And it's actually uphill. People don't realize.
I want you to go on this show. Corey watches it. I think it's in Canada. I want to say, or I think it's a couple different places like Alaska. Cullen's Cherokee saying Alaska. I think they do one, but what they do is they drop people off. I think it's called a loan or something. It's the only one that I actually really like too, and they drop. These people off in different places along the island or whatever. And in Alaska, and you're in the cold, and you're in the wilderness, and you're by yourself, and whoever survives whoever lasts the longest wins, and you win, $1 million or whatever. Well, you don't know and there's 8 people, I think, and so you don't know if there's 7 left after 90 days, or if there's 2, and you're
don't know.
You have no idea. You're out there by yourself, and you have they drop you off with a video camera and your stuff, and that's it. And you got to make shelter, and you got to survive.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be the last man standing. I think that's what it might be called. Last man standing. But that would be. I could totally see you on that show.
I would not do good. That's not for me. But I think the strategy there is just when you meet all the people to act as crazy as possible.
There you go.
Yeah.
So they think you're going to be the last guy.
Out weird everybody.
Maybe they give up earlier.
Eyeballing them, you're next.
That would be my only chance of surviving that.
Okay, real quick. I don't know if you want anybody to go look at all these amazing pictures that you have on Instagram or not. Do you want to plug your Instagram?
Yeah, well, definitely tell us everywhere where people can.
I've been just scrolling through this whole podcast, oh my god, these are amazing. So if y'all want to see some,
just the fact that you've
where can they
created such a successful company. Just you're the CEO of your company. Just that alone would be worth you coming on the podcast and talking about. We got to get you in again, but then to go on and do all this other amazing stuff. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, I don't really plug it. I guess it's just at Kent Stewart. I think it's my Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
Facebook is just Kent Stewart, I think.
There you go. I'll leave all the links below.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then if you're in the area, you're looking to buy a house or sell a house or whatever, where they can find you for that.
So Rely Title. We're the largest title company in the state.
That's right.
Awesome.
And I've got a great staff, and we like to have fun and try to make that experience as stress-free as possible, because I know sometimes it can be a little stressful.
Yeah.
Especially with new, home buyers and that kind of thing.
It is. So. It's stressful. You get carpal tunnel signing all that paperwork.
Yeah, it's a lot of documents.
Yeah.
But we've got, in the Birmingham area, we've got Trustful, Hoover, Pelham. Our main office is at Grandview. We're in Gardendale. We're getting ready to open in Homewood. We're in Chelsea. So we've got a lot of local branches that, is convenient to everywhere. So.
Wow, that's awesome.
And down, right here in Hoover. So
yeah, that's amazing. Y'all,
Dang,
we have a lot of people that are local that watch us. So.
I just want to clap. I'm not even going to edit the clapping in. I'm just going to go ahead and clap because I just want to go climb something now.
I know, right? I do too.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and. Oh, bless your wife and
yeah. We're gonna have to, I'm definitely gonna stay in touch with you. You're gonna get annoyed with me because I'm be like, all right, what'd you decide to do?
I just started following you.
I'm tuned in. So let us know what your next adventure is, and thank you so much for coming.
Well, thanks for the invite. I've enjoyed it.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh wait, don't tell Mom.
Oh yeah.
Don't tell Mom. You got anything? He's already named 7 of them because my mom would kill me if I tried to go climb them right now.
I've learned not to tell my mom about any of these.
Save her.
She knows I'm going, but it was tough on her when we first started doing this, obviously.
Yeah.
And she lives here in Birmingham, and so it was impossible to keep it a secret.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have that separation a little bit because you're an adult, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but still, it's your
so
son.
when
Like,
the younger can't. I mean, were
The younger
you,
kid, oh, that's not good. Yeah.
what was that? What was the?
So I grew up in a real blue collar area, in Northeast Ohio, a real steel town, and up there you grow up pretty quick.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of things in high school. We started drinking early, and all the things that you're not supposed to do. And I'm sure my mom may have known a little bit about it, but
she knew.
But let's don't tell her anything.
Don't tell mom.
Let's don't tell her anything now. She's still my mom.
Right. Awesome.
I don't want to get grounded or anything.
All right.
Awesome.
Don't tell your mom about the podcast.
Yeah, right. There's some stories on here. She might be like, "Whoa, where'd you go?"
Well, thank
awesome.
you again.
Thank you so much, Kent. And y'all be sure to check him out. And
thank you guys for listening. Make sure to go check him out. We're going to put his links, I guess, in the description.
everything's in the
And then, stay tuned for next week, 2 times Tuesday. Thank you all for listening and watching. If you're watching on YouTube,
Episode 64.
hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube and then follow us on Instagram. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Don't tell mom.
Peace.
Peace.